Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Monday the 18th of February. How time flies. So looking at the euro dollar first, and well, it looks pretty positive from Friday's move. Yes, it made new low on Friday, a near-term low, lowest since November, and got pretty close to that at one stage. But on Friday, but it's bounced. It's just through the 1300 area. It's pushed up towards its weekly pivot here, but there are some signs that it's all is not quite so good, but has some promise at the moment, pushing up quite strongly. The weekly pivot just below us, as is the daily. Now that's the sort of signs that maybe things aren't that great, because it could come back to this sort of level as often a draw. Pretty high probability. The other thing, well, actually no, it's maybe looking like a lower high on the shorter time frames here that it's just done, but I'll talk about it later on in the weekly, the big picture. But I do wonder, maybe the euro's put a bit of a near-term bottom in here. We'll see. But for now, as I say, I'm looking for these sort of weekly and daily pivots as potential targets to the downside there. Once they're here, well, it's a case of looking at the price action around those. If we start seeing it bounce and it bounces back above the 34, I could be erring on the semi-bullish area. But as I say, need to watch big picture for that. Okay, the pound. So the pound dollar bullish pivot swing here on Friday, all looking bullish. Didn't make a new low as the euro did. It was not as bearish as the euro. It has pitched, sort of looks like it's gapped up there slightly over the Asian session. Not a massive gap, but has again got the weekly pivot and daily pivot sitting below. Now some marginal divergence into the highs, and again targets to the downside this morning. Just need to watch the start off of this, but this goes for the euro as well, just in case we start seeing this sell off at the moment and then we get a little bit of a rally and it sort of takes out the highs and then goes. So just got to be a bit wary of it, but I am at the moment eyeing the downside potential, not right the way to the lows necessarily. We'll see how it runs, but certainly back to this support area. Okay, dollar yen. I should mention today there's a US bank holiday. It's President's Day. Goodness, they'll be cheering for old Trumpy today, but past presidents, I'm sure. President's Day today, so there'll be no trading, well, no great volumes necessarily coming through the markets in the afternoon. It can go very, very quiet, so just bear that in mind. No other news I can see at the moment. Okay, so looking at the yen, Japanese yen here. It's already looks like it's found its weekly pivot. It's just come down one. Yep. It's found its weekly pivot. At the moment, it's looking like it's priming for itself for a bit of a bounce. We'll see. That would fit with a weaker pound and a weaker euro, at least for a period, not necessarily all day. So just be wary of that. I'm just looking here. It's not. Where's the weekly? The weekly and the daily was wrapped up together there. So well. Does look at the moment like it could have further upside. Now this has got a lovely trend line sitting across there. I'm only looking at it from a point of where we could see a break of the lows of this, and it would continue in what was shaping up on the low side last week in terms of this movement we saw here on Thursday, beg your pardon. So if we did see any sort of breakdown here, well, that would give us down towards the 60-minute 200 maybe, but at the moment it does err on the bullish side, and that would, as I say, fall into shape with the pound and euro maybe having a bit of a retrace. Aussie dollar, well, the Aussie dollar's sort of holding up better last week, slightly on the basis of Trump's chats with the Chinese terms and twitters regarding the Chinese talks there. There's no deal on Friday, but we'll see how things are. I think it's the 1st of March, which seems to be the sort of key time, but running into a whole bundle of moving averages here on the Aussie dollar at the moment on the dailies, but Again, weekly pivots sitting below. Same old story really here, weekly and daily. You drill it down, it looks like okay on one time frame. You come down to these time frames, it just shows what's a bit clearer, what's lying beneath there in terms of the weekly and daily pivots. Now again, if we see a breakdown of this near term low 71.45ish sort of area, that could signify a move, a lower high and a move down towards that pivot there. Again, clear divergence sitting across the top there, so the top, so we'll just see how that runs through, but could get a bit of a retracement. And finally, Canadian dollar. Canadian dollar strengthening still this morning. At this moment, it's just below its weekly pivot. Bit of a choppy old week last week. In the end, it never really. At one stage, it looked like a nice bullish pivot swing on Thursday there. Then Friday saw it sell off again. Well, we'll see on this at the moment, but it has got some upside targets, and particularly that well, there you go, daily pivot, weekly pivot. So these markets are pretty correlated with where the pivots are. Now I do look at these, and you probably hear me mention them a lot because they've got a high probability of being hit, particularly a daily one on any particular day, but as is the weekly pivot when it's close to the daily, so and in front of it in this particular case. So I am looking at that quite carefully. Edging, was there a bit of divergence between these two lows? Maybe, so a bit of softness coming through there. So again, got the potential to pull back. Now, as I said, I don't know. Well, I wouldn't try and say this is an absolute retracement and it's going to get push up. But as with the pound, the euro, they could just come to the pivot levels here, maybe catch one of them or both of them, and then just watch what happens at that stage. It may give opportunities for reversal trades there. Okay, or corrective trades back in terms of direction. I was, as I said, with the Canadian dollar, I was a bit wary that it just didn't do anything last week, and I've been looking for a breakdown, and then it did that big up day there. But well, we'll see. Friday cleared that away. We'll see what's coming today. Right, have a great one. Bye for now.